And a couple of things here. It has largely, I will tell you, been radio silence at this point. I think that I get the sense people are reeling from what I think folks knew was coming, but it is still the reality that they are now facing, save for two things, right? One, that inflammatory and misleading statement put out by the president this morning. The other, a press conference happening right now as we speak, actually up in Philadelphia, up in Pennsylvania, where the president's advisors are making baseless claims of fraud and continue to do so, with, interestingly, Rudy Giuliani confirming now what we have been reporting for the past 24 hours, that the president is not going to concede with this legal fight now ongoing. I have to tell you, though, there are others who get where we are right now, who understand where the Trump White House is. One person close to the White House called this the great anticlimactic ending that folks have been seeing for several days. The focus now is really shifting to people thinking about themselves, their own futures, with a White House official telling us that a lot of people are coming to terms with this. They're starting to think through the transition, where they're going to go starting in January. And a senior campaign aide lets our team know, too, that there is still some work to do. As we've been talking about, and as you've been talking about there on set, the question is, how does this transition look for President Trump? He is likely, based on my experience in the last 5 years covering him from Inauguration Day in 2017, he's likely to fume. He is likely to continue to push conspiracy theories about the election results. It may be a turbulent couple of months here. I will tell you too, Lester, right when the race was called by NBC News and other outlets, you couldn't hear what was happening on Black Lives Matter Plaza on the park just outside of the White House where I am. You can sure hear it now. We have been hearing more honking, more air horns, more cheering. It is a loud situation. The president, this is the scene. You can see actually it's filled up. And just to give you some perspective, on the top of your screen, you can see there's a fence and then a grassy area. That's Lafayette Park, which is just to the north of where I'm standing at the White House. It has been barricaded. The gates and the fencing have been put up, non-scalable, officials say, because of the expectation that this would exactly be the scene on election night. We had to wait 5 days for that, right? Took a while to get here. But this is why the reinforcements have been put in place around the White House, because of the expectation of potentially protests or demonstrations like the sort of celebration that we are seeing right now. At some point, the president's got to come back to the White House, Lester. He's at the golf course now. That's just across the Potomac River in Virginia. He didn't take the helicopter. He doesn't do that since it's such a close trip. He drives through the streets in his motorcade, and he will have to motorcade back through the streets of Washington with this scene visible to him. This is not a president who often gets glimpses of life outside the bubble, so to speak. He confronted that a couple of times recently. I'm thinking most notably over at the Supreme Court after the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when people booed he and the First Lady when the two of them showed up after Justice Ginsburg was laid to rest in her there at the Supreme Court. But it is going to be, I think, a real potentially jarring moment for President Trump to see how the country is reacting to his loss as he continues to strike, frankly, this very defiant tone.
All right, Hallie, thanks very much. I want to show you a picture that we're just getting in of Kamala Harris and her husband, Doug Emhoff. This is obviously reacting to the news, so picture we wanted to share.
Glad to see
the first Jewish vice presidential spouse.
second gentleman.
Okay,
that's right.
First second gentleman. Say that real fast. First second gentleman. I was glad to see so many Washingtonians out there wearing their masks.
Wearing masks,
And peaceful.
And,
I mean,
but I was just going to say,
by the way, we saw,
be a gracious winner, be good winners.
And by the way, we saw the crowds in Harrisburg, the Trump supporters also peaceful. So that is what we had all hoped for.
Yeah, but to protest is as American as you can get. To hate each other is not.
Look,
and I think that's what we need to remember as these days unfold.
It is interesting.